How pleased were you with what the running backs especially were able to do in that game with David out?
I think we were all excited. I don't think we were surprised. Um, when you have someone like David Montgomery who means so much to you, both as a player and what his presence is, when he's missing for a game, then obviously there's a big void. And I think you'd like to think that when a player's out, and one of your starters is out, that not only are the guys who play in his position going to make up for it, but you like to put the onus on everyone to give a little bit more and to think about it. But no, I thought Damian and Khalil both did a great job. They both ran tough. They both ran smart. They were both good in pass protection. I mean, they did a great job. But again, we weren't surprised. That's what they do in practice. But we're pleased.
Did you anticipate Khalil playing that much of a role on Sunday, or did he just kind of earn that throughout with the carries that he had?
We weren't against it. I guess that doesn't answer the question. Sometimes with the backs, it's the flow of the game and how many hits they're taking, how many carries. There's definitely constant communication on the sideline with Coach Petrie. You know, when is it time for the next one? Sometimes on the headset as coaches, we talk about who should get this one. But sometimes it's just, hey, Damian just took this many hits. He needs a blow, and so it just rolls. And then some plays obviously are planned specifically for a guy because it's something that he's good at. So it was just the flow of the game. I thought it worked well.
It's still a small sample size, but Justin hasn't put the ball in harm's way very often. As you guys continue to watch his evolution, how much trust and confidence does that instill in you that early on he hasn't shown the recklessness or the sort of the young inexperience to put the ball out there?
As you talk about it, I can probably in my mind picture all these plays through training camp, where he took a shot and didn't and shouldn't have, or he took a shot and we were pleased he tried, even though the defense got their hand on the ball. That's the balance for the quarterback, because what you don't want is a cautious quarterback, right? You want a guy who's aggressive but who's smart, and the balance of that is the key to the growth. And I think he's done a good job with that. He's taken some throws down the field. We didn't get nearly as many in this last game, but he's taken some, and there have been some where he's decided to bring it down. So it's just it's a constant balance. But obviously the turnover battle is huge. Everyone understands what the statistics with winning and losing are, and I think he's right on track. You have to take some shots to get some big plays. We come out of the game with a win. We're all happy at the same time. A lot of us, myself included, look back and say, okay, what could I have done to get a little more explosion in the game? And that's the balance.
To that balance, what was most notable to you on the touchdown pass? Obviously not an explosive play.
Yeah, I think the important part, a lot of guys come out of college and they look for the receivers to be wide open. And he wasn't wide open. He was more NFL open, and he gave him a chance. That's a big thing I took from it. That was good.
Has he made a big leap in that, what you just said, basically since the Cleveland game? Because it seemed like in that game there were a couple times where maybe he had a guy that didn't look wide open but was maybe a little bit open. He didn't pull the trigger. And then all of a sudden the last couple weeks, especially on that touchdown throw, it seemed like just throw it.
I hate to make too sweeping a statement about that Cleveland game because there's so many things that didn't go well. And I'm glad you brought it back up, though.
Sorry.
That might be some of it. It might have just been the timing that you should have the ball in the pocket. I mean, I think there were a lot of things. So I don't want to make too sweeping a statement about it. But I think that's the growth that he'll go through. And one of the things you have to do is help this time of year, help create it in practice. Because in training camp, the defense is going, starters against your starters in full speed, and there's a lot of tight coverage. Now we're on the practice field trying to show exactly what this team is going to play in coverage. And so maybe you're asking your defense to play something that's a little different than they normally do. And you're still trying to get it to be tight coverage, but what you think is going to be open. It's hard. And so he's got to find ways on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to experience it and pull the trigger. And then you just hope it will transfer to Sunday. But I think he's I think he's growing. I do think that touchdown pass showed that, hey, he gave the guy a chance.
Justin obviously seems pretty even keel all the time. But do you think it would be natural for him to look across the field Sunday and see Aaron Rodgers and go,
Oh, I don't know. You have to ask him. Yeah, I don't know.
have you seen any shred of that this season with him? I mean, to us, he just seems like this impenetrable, calm dude.
Really, the time that we spent in meeting room or on the practice field, you're so engrossed in the job that you're doing. I mean, there's so much information that's being shared, with Coach Flip and him and the other quarterbacks and the process. And I don't see where, while he's here, that he'd have a whole lot of time for that kind of reflection. And maybe in his private moments, but yeah, no, I think we're just working, and the best I can tell, he's just gone full speed ahead at our job.
Bill, I'm sure that most of the tape, all the tape you're watching is the Packers' defense, but have you had Justin look at Rodgers at all, either for any specific teaching points or maybe just to see what he can learn?
I have not, no.
You have the luxury the last 2 weeks of playing with the lead almost exclusively. Do you have a feeling like there are jumper cables for the passing attack in the event that luxury isn't there, in the next 3-4 games?
Sure, we have a big call sheet. We have a lot. I mentioned earlier about not getting as many explosive plays in the Raider game as we would have liked. Some of them you think are staring at you on the sheet, but then you look up at the scoreboard and you see the time clicking, ticking down, and you see how the game is going. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, you have to do what's best to win that game at that moment. So I think we have them ready to roll. I'll tell you, if we need them Sunday.
With Joe Barry, what are kind of some of the things that Justin and everyone needs to know about that defense and kind of what your familiarity was with him and what he likes to do?
Well, we see how much of what they're doing is like what the Rams do, and obviously that's where Joe came from. We also see some things that are different because their personnel isn't the same. Plus, you got, now Morris is calling the Rams defense, and Joe's going to have his own tendencies. There's some areas where we wish he'd had a few more calls himself in those areas, so we knew exactly what he was going to do. There's still some unknown with a new coordinator, but I think we know the family and the big picture of what he wants to do. I think we can see that he's adjusting it for the people that he has. Yeah, you're talking about a veteran coach who's been around a long time. He's been in a number of really solid, productive systems, so he's had to answer a lot of questions in the past. I'm sure they're having good staff meetings right now, studying us. So we know everything they do isn't going to be what they've shown. They're gonna play the Bears this week, and I think he's smart enough to know he's going to do what he thinks is best against us. So that cat and mouse game will go. But yeah, Joe's a veteran coach, and he'll have them ready.
How cognizant are you? I mean, you've now had a couple games as play caller.
Sure.
How cognizant are you of the book that's out there on you?
Yeah. Well, I would assume that for tendencies, they're going to look at the last 2 games with the heaviest weight and probably look at the whole season. And I still think that we did what we needed to do to win those 2 games. I think there certainly were some themes that as far as run pass and stuff that carried over between the two. But as was mentioned earlier, we also had the lead, so it was able to go that way. But that's their job. We always assume they have all the information. If they don't, we'll be happy. But we assume they know everything there is about us.
To what extent can you expand the offense, get more explosive plays regardless of what the defense does?
You can't do it 100% regardless. Like if they just line up a corner 15 yards deep, it's going to be tough to get behind them. So you can't do it 100% regardless, but there's always a way. They can't take everything away. So we feel good about some of the things that we had in the last game plan and did not use. I probably regretted not using some when you looked at the stats, but the stats are secondary to winning. So we did what we thought we had to do to win. I think we feel good about what we worked on the practice field yesterday in that regard. We would always like to have the ability, I'll use the word balance, but balance of being able to spread the field. Quicker throws, medium range chunks, deep throws down the field in the pass game. The way the defense plays might dictate when going in, you're heavier in one area or the other, or the way we want to attack them. And then as the game goes, you have to be ready to adjust. There's always some balance of those three things in the plan, and I think we did a good job yesterday on our first and second down day of kind of having that ready to go.
It just seems a little confining
Well,
at this point.
like I said,
Where you are offensively.
I felt it after the game, but I just blame me for that. Seriously, I just, and that's when the game was going that way. That was, that's just how we thought to win the game. And I'd rather have 500 yards, but winning's more important.
What kind of help is Mike Pettin for you this week, and having somebody who's been on the other side with that defense?
Well, I think you wouldn't be surprised to know that he has great insight into their people. Obviously, the scheme has changed. There might be some calls that they've kept the same that he could help with, but I think the personnel and even the mentality of some of the players, I think he has great insight. He's obviously spent a lot of time with them. So I'll tell you Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.